Hey, you guys, welcome to Splinterlands TV. It is I, the Psy, and I'm here to talk to you about something near and dear to my heart, and that's about changing the price of packs for Conclave Arcana. Instead of being $4 down to $2 or 2000 DEC per pack. I know it's a very controversial statement, but this video and the Hive post I'm going to be releasing as well is going to be my reasons, my explanation, and my way of thinking how this could very much benefit Splinterlands and the new players we want to bring in and the existing players who may become disillusioned with some of the pricing. So now before we actually go any further here, in the most recent town hall, I asked the question to would Matt even be open to changing that price from 4,000 DEC down to 2,000 DEC. Then I'll get into a few of the reasons why I think that would be a good idea. But without further ado, let's bring this up. Let's maximize here. And let's hear what Matt has to say for himself. Here we go, Matt. Take it away.
We had one late question from the Peace Silence on YouTube that I think might be worth just quickly answering, which was, if the DAO votes for $2 Conclave Arcana packs, would we do it?
The DAO is the one you guys are doing Conclave Arcana. You guys are hiring us to do it. We are your employees. If the DAO says we pretty much anything, we will do it. So yes, 100%. Now, if it's something ridiculous, I will vote against it, and I will try to encourage others to vote against it, and I will try to convince them of how ridiculous it is. I don't think a change to the pack price is all that ridiculous. I personally don't really agree. I also generally don't participate in the proposals, unless it's something I feel strongly about. But 100%, if 66+% of the stakeholders or the stake weighted SPS holders vote for something like that, it's not even a question, because you guys are hiring us to do it. It's like hiring a company to build something for you, and you tell them what you want to build, and they say, nope, we're doing it a different way. You should fire us if that's the case.
There we go. So just to kind of put it out there before anything even goes any further with this conversation of would they even do it? And the answer is yes. So if a DAO vote came about and we said 66% of us said we do want to reduce the cost of these packs to only being $2 each for Conclave Arcana, it is something that Matt would do. Not would think about doing, straight up, he would do it. It would be done. It would be the new price of packs 2000 DEC. Now, there's a few things that I want to just start off here. And the major ones are just basically some of the financial things that are involved with it. And why I think that maybe the $4 pack price, while it could have potentially been reasonable during Chaos Legion, maybe during Rebellion, why I think that our best play to go about that, and like I said, there's going to be financial reasons involved in it. And there's going to be like play reasons as well, because if you've kind of felt it out in Discord the way that I have, there's been lots of opinions on the prices of where things are and how people would be able to continue with the game. So the first thing that I want to talk about was that the landscape is completely different in the economy right now than it was versus when Chaos Legion was first coming out, or even when Rebellion was first coming out. There were a few things when Chaos Legion was coming out that made those $4 packs. I shouldn't actually call them $4 packs. I should call them like $20 packs. Because those of you guys who were like me and ended up buying in the pre-sale, it was $4 or 4,000 DEC plus vouchers. And the vouchers at one point in time were going for like $20 each. So I know that when I bought in for my 50 packs that I got, I was paying around $25 per pack at that time, which sounds crazy today to be talking about buying Chaos Legion for $25 a pack. But that's how different the landscape was back when Chaos Legion was being released. We're talking about something when Jin O'Shaughnessy was $30 instead of 30 cents, basically, you know? So it was a whole different world, and that world might have been able to support $4 packs or $4,000 DEC per pack, even after you didn't need to use vouchers, or even with vouchers being $20, whatever the case may be. So it was a different era. And during that time, there were things that were happening, like there was the SPS airdrop. So if you held DEC, you were getting airdropped SPS during that initial distribution phase. At that point in time, reward cards were not soul bound. So if you were to go ahead and you were to pull even what's the name of this guy? The Venari water speaker, I think his name was. The blue guy who gives shield. Even those rares were going for $5 each instead of 5 cents each. There was no wild pass that was required, and you didn't need wagons for airdrops. You just got them. So we were living in a different world when untamed assets were also worth a lot of money, and you could go ahead and you could sell some of your untamed cards, which had ballooned in price into the hundreds of dollars. You could sell those untamed assets, and you'd be able to go ahead and use that money to kind of purchase your Chaos Legion packs. Now, obviously, that's very different today. Part of the things that are changing it is there's no airdrop. There is no, everything is soulbound now as far as the reward cards, so you need to unbind them, so there's not really that opportunity for you to get a really good hit of a gold foil and turn that into a bunch of packs. If you're playing Wild, the SPS is really low because there's so much competition in there. There's so many players in it, so the SPS pool in Wild is very low, and you need to play a Wild Pass. And sure, while you could be playing Modern right now, the cost to buy into Modern, especially once Chaos Legion leaves, is going to be very high. Right? Because you're only going to be left with Rebellion plus Conclave Arcana, which is where this whole thing comes up with what is the price that would result in the most sales, the most customer engagement, and basically the most customer happiness and satisfaction with the product with the pricing of Conclave Arcana. From my personal standpoint right now, I went and I'll tell you my story about Rebellion. I was able to go ahead and I was able to sell a lot of my Untamed at the times, which still had value during the first part of Rebellion, as well as collect everything I'd been saving for a while in order to buy Rebellion. As it turned out, I managed to buy around 500 packs or so, which is crazy because 500 packs is basically $2,000 USD, right? And after opening those packs, I still wasn't left with anything near a proper Rebellion deck. I still had to go out, I still had to buy a bunch of cards, which cost additional money. I didn't obviously get a full set of Mantaroths or Grimbarden Smiths, so if I wanted that, I had to go out and I had to finish buying my Mantaroths, buying my Grimbarden Smiths, and a lot of the cards that I have, even to this day, after investing more and selling the gold foil versions of Rebellion and using that to buy just regular foils, I'm nowhere near having a maxed set. Right? A couple of the key cards, obviously I brought up to max. But even when you're talking about commons, I don't think I have a single common at 400 BCX, let alone the good ones like Lurking Puffers, which I might have as a 5 or 6 star. Whenever it gets silence, that's where I've got my Puffer at. And when you're talking about the dual color summoners, those guys are maybe at 3 or 4 star. Because in all reality, when you're opening those packs, but you need 400 BCX in order to max a common, $2,000 or 500 packs doesn't really go a long way. In reality, that's only 2,500 cards, right? Because you get 5 cards per pack, 500 packs, 2,500 cards. What's that enough to max? If they were all commons, right? And let's say you got only all of the same commons, that'd be enough to max 5 commons, 6 commons? You can max 6 commons and have a little bit of change. But how many commons are there in the set? So these are things that you have to bear in mind, is that we no longer have the ability to turn our reward cards into funds that you can now use in order to purchase these Conclave Arcanic packs. When you're looking at the price that you used to be able to get, part of the reason why Chaos Legion could be $4 is because Untamed was worth so much. You could sell your Untamed cards, use those funds to go in and buy Chaos Legion, and then move on from there. But do you think that Chaos Legion, with the prices that it has now, especially rotating into Wild, are going to command that same premium that we had with Untamed cards? When we could take those Untamed cards, we could cash them in, use those funds to buy Chaos Legion. It's not going to be the same when we try and take the Chaos Legion, which is rotating, to try and buy Conclave Arcana. In fact, if you think Chaos Legion cards are not worth a lot right now, I can only imagine what their price is going to go down to when people start selling and liquidating their Chaos Legion in order to be able to try and buy into Conclave Arcana with some of those funds. Now, some people say the Rebellion was successful because, sure, there were a bunch of packs that were sold, but the grumblings that I'm hearing and stuff like that is that a lot of people at $4 a pack, they went in, they bought a ton of cards, and just like me, they're sitting there with sets that aren't even anywhere near completion. And with the removal of leagues, a lot of people feel that if you don't have a max card, you basically don't have a card at all. And while the option does exist to rent these cards, renting the really good cards can be prohibitively expensive. right? And we can only imagine that the rental cost will go up a little bit more when Rebellion is one of the only 2 sets that's left in Modern, and you don't even have access to Chaos Legion anymore, which is where the cheapest rentals and most of the cards that people were playing were coming from. So we're in a different world right now, moving into Chaos Arcana, where you can't take like your existing assets or the existing way you used to be able to generate assets and turn those into funds to fund the purchase of Conclave Arcana. So to me, that means that a lot of the money that comes in, if not most of the money that comes in, is going to be new capital. And we have to weigh how much are people going to be willing to pay in order to buy into Conclave Arcana if it was $4 a pack versus if it was $2 a pack. And if you paid your $2,000, let's just call it, right, and you were able to get 1,000 packs and actually make a complete deck for that amount, versus you'd still only be getting those 500 packs, you'd end up with a half-finished deck. Now, something else I want to say here is, when you're talking about $2,000, I mean, to me, 2,000 USD, I live in Canada, so it's $3,000 Canadian. That's a lot of money. I know that there's a lot of, I'm not going to say that crypto whales are bad guys or anything like that, okay? Crypto whales are great. They've been what's been keeping Splinterlands afloat for the whole time. But not everyone is a crypto whale. And I know that when we're talking about new player experience, we're talking about drawing people in. You can't expect that all the players that you're going to get to come in to play this TCG, because it's a trading card game in essence, right? It's a trading card game where the assets themselves can be bought, sold, and trade on a marketplace, right? Very similar to Magic Online, not Magic Arena, but Magic Online. How many people do you think we're going to be able to draw in are just going to be like, let's drop 2K USD, you know? So that's part of what makes me feel like, if all the money that's going to be coming in is going to be new capital, or at least most of it, you know, I'm sure that the people who've already got a lot of Splinterlands assets will find some way to roll those into Conclave Arcana if that's what their plan is to do. But I know that just from my conversations on Discord, people like Fat Jimmy and stuff like that, they're like, hey, you know what? At $4 a pack, I can't do that anymore. People like Vet V were like, you know what? I don't know if I can do that anymore. And people like me, I know that after seeing how far I got with Rebellion, I'm like, at $4 a pack, I just can't do it anymore. I can't justify spending $3,000 Canadian to get a half-built deck, basically. And then don't forget, that's before I put in more money on top of that to complete the cards that you need, like the Dark Dead Blasts and stuff like that, finishing off your Mantaroths. And don't even get me started on the promos, of which I wasn't able to buy basically any. I bought 25 BCX of the Night Stalker, and aside from that, I was priced out of those promos too. So the way that I feel that we're moving right now is in a direction that makes it very money centric. And I know it's not a cheap game, but when you're trying to draw people in or you're trying to keep your existing player base, you can't expect people to go and pay $2,000 USD to have like an unfinished deck and then not be able to compete. Now, there are some people that say, hey, that's totally fine, because when we go ahead and we move into new Modern, those people might only have a silver deck, but that silver deck might be capable of bringing them to great heights. And that could potentially be true. But then there's the other side that people say, and you know what else is going to happen? The fact that there's going to be less people that are going to be playing in Standard, that means that those SPS rewards are going to just explode. They're going to be super high. But the thing is, the way I look at that is, well, that also means that the demand for SPS, because it's a demand-based token as far as I'm concerned, right? You get it for your rewards, but you need to stake it in order to get those rewards. The demand for that SPS is going to go way down. If you've got no one playing the game, then there's no demand for the SPS. So the way I look at it is, sure, maybe you're making 50 SPS a win right now. And I'm just using these numbers because, I mean, they're easy for me. Maybe you're making 50 SPS a win right now, and that SPS is worth a penny. Let's think positively. That SPS is worth a penny. You're getting 50 SPS a turn. You're at the top of the game using all gold foils. You got like max like 13x on your rewards. Okay, so you're getting 50 SPS. It's worth a penny. There's no difference between getting 50 SPS at a penny and getting 100 SPS at half a penny. The value of that is still 50 cents. Sure, you're getting more SPS, and if SPS were to somehow change in its price and be worth a penny, then yeah, you've doubled up basically. You know, you're making more, you're making $1 per win. But if the demand isn't there because the players aren't able to afford to actually get into Conclave Arcana and to actually play Modern, then the demand-driven token price in my mind, is going to go down. It's supply and demand, right? Supply continues to increase, demand for it decreases. That's going to put downward pressure on the price of the token. So again, in my analogy, if you're winning 50 SPS at half a cent, that's still 50 cents. And if you're winning you're winning 50 SPS at 1 cent, that's 50 cents. And if you're winning 100 SPS at half a cent, that's still 50 cents, you know? So the argument of, well, you're making more SPS, does that really make a difference if the price of the SPS continues to go down? Because people are just like, you know what? I can't afford to play anymore. I'm just going to sell my assets. I'm just going to sell my SPS because I'm not going to play the game because I don't feel like I can get in. Now, one of the things that Matt always talks about is he always talks about a comparison in this TCG to things like Magic the Gathering and how he wants to see this. And TCG, for those of you who don't know, is a trading card game because in its essence, that's what Splinterlands is. Splinterlands is a trading card game. So you've got cards, they're tradable, they have a value, it's a game, it's a trading card game. And you can see that there are cards that are priced fairly high in Splinterlands, right? If we weren't going to do the promos, let's take away the promos. You can see that by opening a pack, you could get Tofu at 55, you could get Drath at 14. Let's also go and let's take away the reward cards, just see what you can get. But when you're even looking at the cards that you might be able to pull, oh, these are just green. Let me just get out of Earth. Let's make it all of them. So you can get Tofu, you got Lorcus, you got Cryptic. You got a couple cards here that are above 10 and everything like that as well. Then you hit Runeseer Surveyor. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 10 cards that are above 10, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 cards that are legendary that are below it. So you got a 50-50 shot when you pull a legendary of getting a $10 plus card, which is good. But when Matt's talking about comparing this to Magic the Gathering, want it to be big like Magic the Gathering, I'm a former Magic the Gathering player. I've been playing Magic the Gathering since 1996. So I know my way around TCGs. I played Magic the Gathering. I've played Warlord Saga of the Storm. I've played a little bit of Pokemon, not my thing, way too kiddie-like and things, but these are all TCGs. I've also played Magic Online, I've played Magic Arena, I've played Hearthstone, you know, so I'm into all of these TCG type worlds that kind of cross over with Splinterlands. I can say that by far Splinterlands is the most expensive. Now, I want to show you guys the difference between what you get in a pack of Splinterlands versus what you get in a pack of Magic the Gathering. So, in a pack of Splinterlands, what is this? That's not what I want. In a pack of Splinterlands, here we go. You're going to get your 5 cards for your $4. Out of those 5 cards, you have the chance, everyone's going to use a legendary potion. So you got a 1.6 chance of getting that legendary. So we're going to use a base point here for this example of spending $100, okay? So with $100, you'll get DEC at Peg. You'll get 20 packs, basically, of Conclave Arcana, or any of the other sets, like Rebellion, we'll say, and stuff like that as well, okay? Because the price of Rebellion right now is 5 DEC. That brings it to around that 5,000 DEC. That brings it to around that $4 price point right now, with it being out of print and everything, okay? So if I were to spend $100 and I were to get 20 packs, at 1.6% chance, that means I would get 1.6 legendaries. Because I'm opening 20 packs, that's 100 cards. There's a 1.6 chance of each of those cards being a legendary. So on average, I would get 1.6 legendary cards in my 20 packs for $100. Now, part of what makes Splinterlands so expensive, though, is that $100 gets you 1.6 legendaries, but you can't just use one legendary. I mean, you could, but that's how you just basically are going to end up losing a lot of games, right? You need to get your 11 BCX of every legendary. So to get your 11 BCX of one legendary, you're probably spending about $800 on packs to get your 11 legendary cards, and that's if they're all exactly the same. So it's $800 on packs for you to get that one legendary card to be 11 BCX. That is very, very high. Now, if we were to go ahead and we were to compare that to Magic the Gathering, and its decks, oh, that's the wrong one, don't want to get there yet. That's the wrong one as well. Here we go. So Magic the Gathering, its packs are also $4. I have a pack I'm going to open here to show you guys. You can see right over here. Let me make sure that you guys can see this. Here's a receipt that I got of one pack of Magic the Gathering, Magic the Gathering Foundations, that cost me $6 Canadian. $6 Canadian is $4 USD. So they're basically the exact same price. I could buy a pack of Splinterlands for $4 USD, or I could buy this pack of Magic the Gathering for $6 Canadian. It's exactly the same thing. This pack of physical Magic cards is the same as a pack of Splinterlands for that price. Now, the comparison is always made between Splinterlands and Magic the Gathering, okay? Now, with Magic the Gathering, the odds of you pulling a mythic rarity card are 1 in 8. Okay, so that means that on average, if I were to go and I were to buy my, in USD, $4 pack of Magic cards, I'd get 20 packs of Magic cards, but I'd end up with 2.5 mythic rares. And the difference is that you only need 4 of any mythic rare to be able to put in a deck. The other difference is that in contrast to playing Splinterlands when it's got the different rule sets and it could be any one of the splinters that comes up, in Magic the Gathering, you only need to have 1 deck. So you don't need to have 11 BCX of every single one of the good top legendary cards. There are some decks that might not have any of them in it, or that might have 4 or only 8 of these mythics that you can get in these packs at a higher chance of getting them than with a Splinterlands pack. When you go and you look at the top decks here, okay, there's tier 1 decks, there's tier 2 decks in Magic the Gathering. So when we're comparing the price of a cost of standard packs in Magic the Gathering or a standard deck in Magic the Gathering versus the decks in Splinterlands, we're talking thousands of dollars to build a fully maxed deck in Splinterlands versus here's the most expensive deck right now in standard, I guess would be Domain Zur Overlords, which I'm assuming is, and it's not even the best deck, it's just the most expensive at $689. Now these are top tier Magic the Gathering decks that will win tournaments, and tournaments have prizes too. So sure, while you're going ahead and you can say yes, you win SPS with every time that you win a match in Splinterlands. If you were one of the tournament players in Magic the Gathering, there's also prizes for winning at these big tournaments as well. So you also need to compare that, but you also have to look at the amount that you'd get to play these cards in standard. A standard rotation only happens now every 3 years. So I could take this deck if it was using all the most common cards, which it doesn't. I mean, some of these cards are going to rotate and everything like that, but you could theoretically buy this pack of Magic the Gathering Foundations, which I don't think they're rotating for 5 years. I think they're making Foundations exist for 5 years. You could build a deck of Foundations and some other, like of the standard common sets for your $684 and not have to even change it for 3 full years versus in Splinterlands where they're going to release a set every 1.5 years, right? You don't rotate for every 3 years, but you are going to have to build a new set every 1.5 years. So again, it's kind of like apples to apples in a lot of ways because as the packs rotate after 3 years or the sets rotate after 3 years, so will the entire set of Modern in Splinterlands. So the thing is that when you're looking at a $684 investment for the most expensive tier 1 deck that exists in Magic the Gathering, and you're comparing that to the thousands upon thousands of dollars that you'd have to spend in Splinterlands, there's clearly a difference in the cost that's associated with it. And it would take you less to hit that $684 because, like I said, you're getting mythics at a higher rate in Magic the Gathering. When we're looking at tier 2 decks even, these are the less expensive decks. You could even go ahead and play some decks that have 4.15% dominance and stuff like that are only $160. So clearly if you wanted to play like a tier 2 deck, not the best deck in Magic the Gathering, you could get away for under $200. These tier 1 decks even, one of the tier 1 decks here, red deck wins 6% of the entire meta, $273. So if we're going to be comparing Splinterlands to Magic the Gathering, we should also be comparing it to the buy-in price. And the fact that I could play this red deck wins deck for 3 years, basically, assuming some cards rotate, okay? But we're going to say the same thing about Splinterlands. In a year and a half, we'll have a rotation of Rebellion, and you'll have to buy back in on top of Conclave Arcana, okay? So we're going to try and keep it apples to apples. But you could play this deck, $273, for basically 3 years without any further investment. Sure, you might want to update the deck a little bit, just like in Splinterlands, you might want to buy in some of those promos, but even so, it's going to be a lot less expensive for you to buy into the cards that you might want to update your deck with in Magic the Gathering. So if we're comparing apples to apples here, card games are not as expensive as Splinterlands, and you may not earn in the same way that you can with Splinterlands, which is basically going ahead and getting SPS per win. But if you wanted to be competitive, I know, buddy, I've won boxes of Magic cards in even smaller tournaments or packs that you can then sell those packs and things like that. Okay. So it's not like it's unheard of to enter a 25-person tournament, a 30-person tournament, walk with a box that you could turn around and sell for $200. These are all theoreticals that could happen both in Splinterlands for winning and Magic the Gathering for winning. It's not just like you buy the cards, there's no chance of getting anything back, okay? Now, going back to Splinterlands as well, there's card rarities. Here we are. Okay. There are expensive cards you can also pull in these packs. I don't want to try and say that either you get Eternal Tofu or bust, okay? Just like in Magic, there's expensive mythics and there's cheap mythics, all right? But when you're looking at the golds, all right, the top card that you can pull is basically $300 as a gold foil Eternal Tofu. When you're looking at Magic the Gathering, the top card that you can pull is $534. And the odds of this are much rarer, don't get me wrong. But I mean, it still exists that you have the potential. If you're just playing the lottery game, you can play the lottery game with Magic cards as well. And you could hit $500 cards, you know? If I were to go ahead and I were to go down to like where the normal cards start and stuff like that, I mean, we're probably looking at, let's try and find a good starting point over here. Here we go. I like $50, okay? So, I mean, that's very comparable to getting an Eternal Tofu in regular as well, right? $50 for a standard card within these very same Foundations packs, okay? Now, something else that we also need to bear in mind is that when you open a pack of Splinterlands, you get 5 cards per pack with 1 card of those as basically being a guaranteed rare, right? Totally cool. That's fine. All right, but I'm going to change the foil here. I'm going to open this pack of Magic cards with you guys. I'm going to show you guys what you get with this pack of Magic, which if we're comparing Magic to Splinterlands, which is always the goal, we want to be big like Magic the Gathering. I'm going to show you the value that you get for this $4. All right, so check this out. All right, so with every pack of Magic the Gathering, you're also guaranteed at least 1 rare. However, you're also guaranteed to get a foil in every pack. Let's open this up. Let's see how things do. You get a token, useless, okay? You get a bunch of commons. No one cares about commons. Or are these the rares? Darn it. I showed the rares first. All right, you get a bunch of commons. No one cares about commons. All right? I mean, they're cheap, cheap, cheap. You get a bunch of uncommons. All right, so in this case, I got 4 uncommons in the pack. And then you also get at least 1 rare. In this case, I got Dracorath, the Maw of Flames, which I don't think he's worth a lot. But, I mean, he's still, I think, like $1 or something like that, which is more than a lot of Splinterlands rares. And then you also get a guaranteed foil to go with the pack as well. So you get a lot of cards. And when you're talking about building only one 75 card deck in Magic the Gathering, and you get 15 cards per pack, I mean, that says a lot about the amount that you get and the value that you can perceivably get in a pack of Magic cards versus the pack of Splinterlands. So again, apples to apples, if you're just opening packs and you just want to get a numerical number of cards, and you only need 75 cards to build a Magic the Gathering deck, but you need thousands upon thousands, especially when you consider the BCX involved in building a Splinterlands deck. The price of buying into Splinterlands for a TCG player is astronomically different. Even just to get that 400 BCX that we're talking about. I mean, let's say you went ahead and you bought that $100, which got you the 20 packs. Those 20 packs, when you open them, only give you 100 cards for your $100. Even if they were all the same common, you would still need to pay $400 just to get 400 BCX. Right? I mean, that's in commons. Obviously, it's not taking the rares into consideration or the fact that you'll get some legendaries with that as well. But I just mean the volume of cards that you need to purchase to max a single common is equivalent to $400 on packs. Or is it $500? $400 on packs just to get the numerical number of cards that you need. So put that into perspective, okay? That's a lot of packs just to get the volume of cards you would need, regardless of rarity, to max a single common. Now, there's a lot of benefits to having $2 packs. And like I said, I've been kind of bringing it up for a long time now. This isn't just like something new that I've been bringing up. And there's been some mixed responses. Now, a lot of people say $2 packs are going to devalue Rebellion packs. And I don't agree with that because you still bought the Rebellion packs for $4. There's still a limited supply of Rebellion packs. The floor on Rebellion packs is going to be a lot higher than the floor on Conclave Arcana packs if Conclave Arcana packs were sold at $2 each, right? Because now you got like the packs cost less, more will be, hopefully, more will be purchased. If more aren't purchased at $2, then we're purchased at $4. That's not a problem with pricing. That's a problem with player base. Okay, that's something else that's important to understand. If we were to reduce the price on Conclave Arcana and still sell less packs than we sold in Rebellion, that is not a problem with Conclave Arcana and the pricing on the pack. That is a problem with not having a player base who wants to buy the product, period, at whatever price. Okay, so getting back to that though, I mean, you can't look at the floor of a $4 pack being the same as the floor of a $2 pack, because there should theoretically, same amount of money spent, be twice as many of the $2 packs in circulation than the $4 packs. A lot of other people will say, hey, well, the whales aren't going to go ahead and they're just going to buy less packs, you know, because if they only intend to buy, say they only intend to buy 1,000 packs. Well, that 1,000 packs is only going to cost $2,000 instead of it costing $4,000. So the company's going to lose money. And if you were to look at it from the perspective of only whales are buying, and whales are buying with a set number of packs in mind, not a set spending limit in mind. Because if they were like, hey, you know what, I'm going to spend $4,000. I don't care if that $4,000 gets me 1,000 packs or if it gets me 2,000 packs. It's the amount of money I'm spending that I have set aside for this next set that I'm going to spend, not the number of packs, then that wouldn't matter at all. Okay? But if we're not talking from a whale perspective, if we're talking from the perspective of people like Silence or Vet V or Fat Jimmy, and you guys, I'm sorry if I'm misquoting you here. I'm just kind of going off what I've seen like us be talking about in Discord, or a lot of the other players that I see as well who are like, you know what, $4 packs is just too expensive. You're going to get nothing from those players. You know, like people like me, I learned my lesson. I'm going to be buying singles if pack prices are $4 each. And I know that's probably going to be a lot for other people to do as well. And if less packs get opened, then those singles are going to really go up in price. And maybe we'll be priced out of singles too. Who even knows, you know? But just like with those promos, the promos that ended up being so expensive, a lot of people said, you know what? If the promos were half the price, I would have bought into that promo sale. And now you have to look at what are we going to do? Are we going to repeat the $4 price sale, price pack point, and possibly have the same amount of packs being sold? Or are we going to try something different and go for the gold and be like, you know what? We're going to see if those minnows that thought that $4 was unaffordable, if they'll bite at $2. And if we do end up getting the whales that end up saying, you know what? I'm spending my budget, which was the $4,000. And again, I don't care if I get 1,000 packs or 2,000 packs. I'm just spending a set amount of money. Or even if the whales decide, say, you know what, it's the pack number range that I have in mind. So I'm only going to spend $2,000 instead of $4,000 because all I wanted was my 1,000 packs. You know, how many of the little minnows like myself, because I would buy at $2 because I feel like my $1,000 or whatever I'd end up putting in would get me somewhere, you know, if I were to have double the packs that I got previously. I'd probably have a Max Rebellion set and not have to worry about having to buy more off the secondary market for the amount that I'd be spending, you know? You have to look at the marketing concept of what is the right price point of these packs to draw in the most sales, and is it all going to come from top heavy, or is some of it going to come from us little plankton feeders, us little minnows that say $2, that's a cup of coffee, I'm down with buying it for $2, you know? And to me, psychologically, if I had $10 to spend, and that $10 could get me 2 packs or 2.5 packs, you know, versus 5 packs. To me, it's a lot more appetizing to be able to say, you know what, I'm going to buy 5 packs. Or, you know, if I had a 20, just kicking it in my pocket, and I was like, what do I want to do with this 20? Like, you know, I enjoy cracking packs, but the cost to crack a pack is just too much. I'd be much more inclined to just be like, you know what, I'm just going to drop in a 20 because that 20 gets me 10 packs. And I like opening packs, and I don't feel like the cost value of those packs is going to be so astronomically high that I'm not going to get the value for what I put in. All right. So those are some of the things. Another thing that we have to consider is there's no more bonus packs anymore. You used to be able to go ahead, and the whales used to be able to say, you know what, I'm going to buy a whole bunch of packs, because if I buy my, what was it, 1,000 packs at a time or something like that, I'll get 15% bonus packs. That doesn't exist anymore. So those whales that might have said, hey, you know what, now it is becoming too expensive because I don't get that 15% bonus, which is really like a 15% price reduction. That brings it closer in line to this $2 pack price point. That's something else that we really need to bear in mind, is that without that 15% bonus, which we're not doing anymore, because I mean, to be honest, what that would lead to is whales just cycling through, buying, getting the 15% discount, listing them on HIVE Engine, and maybe only taking a 5% profit, then re-rolling it into there, buying more cards, taking the 5% profit, etc., etc. A lot of those sales would be diverted from buying them off of Splinterlands at full price, because people would buy them off of HIVE Engine at that reduced price. I mean, what are you going to do? Pay $4 for a pack off the store, or $3.80 for the pack off HIVE Engine? So, I mean, clearly the guy who was buying the 1,000 packs at a time, he was the guy buying off of the store at Splinterlands and getting the 15% bonus. But the little guys like me that were like, hey, you know what? I can afford to buy 5 packs of Rebellion. We were going to HIVE Engine and we were buying them. We weren't even buying them from Splinterlands itself. So this is another way to get everyone to buy from Splinterlands itself, because there's not that pack bonus, which I can totally appreciate. But the savings would come back by virtue of the pack price being reduced to $2, which I think is an important consideration. Okay, let me just check my notes here. Need more cards kept getting discounted. Sale price during the winter sale. Okay, so we also know that when the prices actually got lower on the Chaos Legion cards, that did go ahead and that did generate a lot of buying. Think back to the winter sale that we had when Aggie was in charge and he put everything on the big discount. There was that Hive post. It had Crun on the front of it, or not Crun, Grum on the front of it. And he was saying, hey, buy this many packs, you'll get a huge discount. All the guilds will get another big bonus. And guilds were like buying in en masse. And they were saying, you know what? We don't want the level 10 town hall. Give us a discount and we'll just not take that. And the pack prices for that sale of Chaos Legion ended up being like around $1.80 or something like that, right? So once you factored in all the discounts and stuff like that, the price of those Chaos Legion packs during that particular sale period were $1.80. And that had a huge number of people who bought in, showing that there's an appetite for the price at PAX at around that $2 mark. Because DEC isn't at peg, right? It's at like 75 cents or 0.8 a lot of the time. It fluctuates around 0.8, 0.75 or so, right? So that'd actually be $8.16. That'd actually be like $3.20 at $4, or $1.80, or $1.60, I guess it would be, if we were floating around the 0.8. Value of DEC, or the 0.0008 value of DEC. So you'd be getting your packs for around $1.60 or so, which was close to the packs that during that winter sale, people were buying Chaos Legion packs at in huge, huge numbers. And granted, what that ended up doing was souring the player base quite a bit, because the people like me and the big whales that bought in on the pre-release and were paying their $25 a pack because of the vouchers and everything like that, right? Even if you didn't pay for that voucher, $25, the opportunity cost of not selling the voucher for $25 was still there, because you could have just sold those vouchers instead of buying the packs. So whether or not you bought packs with it or you sold it, the opportunity cost of the voucher was $20, okay? So that put a really bitter taste in a lot of the whales' mouths, saying, I have no faith in these pre-sales anymore, because I paid my $25 a pack, and now here's people buying it for $1.80 a pack, or $1.60 a pack, or whatever the price was during that winter sale. That would not be a factor with this Rebellion sale, because the price would remain at the $2. There would be no extra packs that were purchased, given that 15% bonus. There would be no further sales. There wouldn't be any winter sales that would take that 2,000 DEC and say, well, you know what? For this month, we're going to make those packs only 1,000 DEC. That just wouldn't be happening anymore. Those sales no longer exist, which I think is a great thing, which means that you can buy your 2,000 DEC packs and feel confident in the fact that they won't be further discounted. And that's where I think a lot of people got really bitter with Chaos Legions, because we kept discounting and discounting and discounting. And that made the people that bought at 20 angry. Then the people who ended up buying at 5 angry. Then the people who bought at 4 angry. And then, I mean, even the people who bought at $1.80 at this point in time, they're angry too, because you can go to HIVE Engine, or you can even go here into the market and you can buy your pack for what, 41 cents? Where is it? 45 cents. It's creeping up a little bit, maybe because of survival mode, but 45 cents, you know? So that isn't going to be even a factor in this anymore. That 2000 DEC would be 2000 DEC. And you may say, well, Silence, where'd you come up with 2000 DEC? And the answer is that's just always been the precedent before Chaos Legion and before Rebellion. When I started playing, it was during the tail end of Untamed, and you could buy packs, and they were 2000 DEC. And that went great. Think about Untamed. And if you think back to people saying, oh, well, if you buy them at 2000 DEC a pack, there will be no value in it. Was there no value in Untamed? And if people are only buying the cards that they need, regardless of the player base, if you're not buying them to stock them up and just hoard them for forever, you'd have similar value to what Untamed was, right? And people would be happy to buy it. Now, something else that I want to talk about here quickly is just like basically the community sentiment and how happy do you think that would make to have players be able to buy into this game at that 2000 DEC price point? It's about fostering in a lot of ways. This game is kind of like a community game. We want to keep it alive. We want to keep the people who've been here for so long kind of happy and playing. And right now, the sentiment around those $4 packs, from at least what I've read in Discord, with the exception of some people who say it'll devalue, it'll ruin everything, has been very positive for the 2000 DEC price point. And again, it's because a lot of people feel like they were frustrated with the fact that those 4,000 DEC packs of Rebellion just didn't get them anywhere unless they were to spend like thousands upon thousands of dollars. And there's going to come a point when people are going to say, what do I want to do? Do I want to play Splinterlands because it's an innovative, I'm drawing a blank, the proper pronunciation, Web3 game that can potentially generate me some income, whether it be passive or whether it be from playing? Or do I want to go out and buy myself a PlayStation 5? And I can get a PlayStation 5 for cheaper than buying into a Conclave Arcana. And I'd be able to get a ton of games for it as well. And, these are all AAA games. And then I've also got something that I can resell as well. Because a lot of people say, well, you can resell the packs that you get or the cards that you get when you open them. And that's true. But you can also resell your PlayStation 5, granted at a lower value, and those games as well. So, I mean, you have to think about the competition. What are you competing against here to draw in players into Splinterlands? You're competing against Magic the Gathering, which substantially less buy-in cost. You're competing against PlayStation 4s and 5s, the new Nintendo Switch Part 2 or whatever it is that's coming out. And you're even competing against like literally people that want to buy those $30 handheld gaming sets that just have every retro game on it for $30. Because I mean, I've got one of those right now. I've got one of these $30 retro game systems. It just plugs into my USB port, and I turn it on. And, or so not my USB, my HDMI port. I turn it on. I get 2 wireless controllers that go with it. I've got every Nintendo game, Super Nintendo game, a lot of PlayStation games that are on it. Cost me $50 Canadian. And I've literally got infinite media that I can play with. These are the things that you're competing against when you're trying to draw people into Splinterlands. And when you're trying to take away Magic card players or Pokemon players or Magic Arena players or Hearthstone players or Shadowverse players, and you're trying to show them, hey, play Splinterlands, here's what we have to offer. You don't want to just show them $4 pack prices and have them be scared away from the commitment and the investment that it would cost to even have a decent deck. So those are a few of the reasons why I think that we should bring the pack price down to $2. I feel like it's like if we want the game to attract a larger audience, we can't just keep doing the same thing. There's negative sentiment out there right now about the prices of the promos, about the prices of the packs. And moving ahead, I just want to see the game be successful. I mean, buddy, I'm sitting here making these videos that get like no views, basically. I'm putting up Hive posts that are like, ho, you got like 3 upvotes on it and you earned 87 cents, I'm taking my time to do this because I love Splinterlands and I want to see it be successful, and I feel like this is the best way forward to do that. What is happening here? It must be, is it a bot playing or something like that? Oh God, it's a bot playing. And I feel like this is, let's press battle while it's actually doing it. And I feel like this is like the best way forward at this point. Oh, I haven't had the music going this whole time. That's unfortunate. You just have to listen to me with no music. But I feel like this is the best way forward for us to be able to go ahead and draw in those new players and get people excited about Splinterlands. And instead of showing them like this obstacle, this barrier that people will never be able to get through, We'd show them that there's $2 packs. There's a path forward. There's the way for you to actually spend like $100 and get 50 packs, more than 50 packs, because the EC is not a peg. Maybe we'll call it 60 packs even, and have something meaningful for your investment. And I know a lot of people right now, I don't want to sound doom and gloom, but I know there are people out there right now that are saying, you know what, at $4 packs, I can't afford to do what I did with Rebellion because of those economic factors that we talked about. There is no Untamed that you can sell to then invest into Chaos Legion, all right? Because Chaos Legion is not going to get you a lot of revenue to be able to put towards your Conclave Arcana, you know? And then, like I said, there's no, like the soulbound cards are soulbound. You can't sell those reward cards, you know, and there's the economy is different from when $4 packs made sense. I think it's time to rewind to when things are successful in the Untamed era at 2000 DEC a pack. Now, guys, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to include a link in this video down to a Hive post I'm going to be putting up about this very same thing. I'd love it if you guys could go and, sure, comment, like, share, subscribe on this video and everything like that. But also, a lot of these Hive whale people, they don't look at these YouTube videos, okay? They look at the Hive post. So I'd love it if you could take a moment of your time. You could go to the Hive post link that I'm going to put in the comments. You could upvote my Hive post. Hey, get me that 1/4 of a penny. And you could go ahead and you could leave your comments in there, whether you think it's a good idea or a bad idea. Give me some reasons. Talk to us. Because like Matt said at the very beginning that I played, the results of this DAO vote that we put through are going to be law. And if the DAO vote passes on this, and I'm going to get enough people that we're going to collect enough DEC, we're going to get that 100,000 DEC. We are going to make this happen, this DAO vote. Unless the sentiment is so negative on the Hive post and the whales like just downvote, like Azarcon says definitely no, and like Brave Tofu says absolutely not. You know, if we can get a few whales on board, like a Dave McCoy's even, we will make this DAO vote happen. And Matt says the results of the DAO vote are what he's going with. That has been confirmed. There is no, we'll think about it. It's if DAO vote passes, so does $2 packs. So let's go ahead. Let's make this happen. If that's something you feel is beneficial, either way, leave the comment on this video, leave the comment on the Hive post, and let's go Splinterlands. Let's make Conclave Arcana a true joining point for new players, a big turning point back from the kind of economic ruin that came from Chaos Legion. Let's get those new players in here. Let's keep us old players motivated. Let's keep those pack sales flowing, and let's make it happen. Until next time, my friends, it's I the Psy, and I'll catch you guys around Pretoria. Peace, my friends. Take care now.